In terms of what we tend to target in here, there are a couple domains of communication that we tend to focus on for majority of people. We have pitch here, which is the main vibration that is produced down here in the vocal folds. I feel like most folks at least have an instinctive understanding of what pitch is, even if they can't be put into words. Little muscles come down here, come into contact. They get pushed apart by the air coming up from the lungs, and then they get slammed back together and pushed apart and slammed back together and pushed apart at a frequency. And that frequency is what we hear. The higher the frequency of that vibration, the higher the pitch. The lower the frequency, the lower the pitch. The other big quality that we tend to target in here is resonance. And this, I feel like, is a lot harder for folks to get a grasp of because it seems a little bit more mercurial. I feel like in terms of talking about resonance, you'll hear different metaphors and sort of abstract language being used in terms of like head voice and chest voice and oh, this sounds bright or this sounds dark and like all of this sort of more abstract language. But here ultimately is what resonance is talking about. That primary vibration coming up here from the throat comes up into the mouth and into the nose. And depending on the size and shape of the mouth and nose, that sound signal is warped. You can think about it as like the difference between a violin and a cello, right? The instruments look pretty much the same, but because of the different size of that resonating chamber, they have very different textures to their sound. The cello tends to sound more warm and sort of rich, and the violin soars over the rest of the orchestra and kind of has that like nice, bright, piercing quality. The last one here is vocal weight. We're talking about sort of the intensity or the degree of impact between those vocal folds. So if we're talking about pitch, right, I can go lower in my pitch range or I can go higher in my pitch range, and all that sounds fine and dandy. If we're talking about resonance here, if I want to keep my pitch about the same, I can go brighter in terms of resonance here and get to the sort of buzzier, brassier quality here. It's almost like sharp as well. There's a lot of different metaphor we can use depending on what makes the most sense for your brain. But if we go back up here, we can also make the resonance darker and warmer and richer as well. And so if we bring pitch down at the same time, then we start to get to some of these like really warm, almost like velvety tones down here. And vocal weight, if we're talking about vocal weight, we can have a very soft vocal weight, very light impact of the vocal folds. Or we can have a little bit stronger vocal weight, take up a little bit more space, fill up this room a little bit more. So that's just a quick rundown of these qualities. There's not a one-size-fits-all solution for how these qualities should be utilized. Every client is unique, and there are so many different vocal presentations in the world. A one-size-fits-all solution wouldn't make sense to me anyways. Especially as like a non-binary person, it doesn't track. What we have to do is take these qualities, explore different combinations of those qualities, and then see sort of what appeals most to you.